Welcome to the Holistic Soul Sisters Radio, a channel created to help you heal holistically and grow spiritually. I'm your host, Mandy Rose. I'm not afraid to talk about taboo subjects, so nothing is off limits here. Make sure you hit subscribe and get ready to learn more from me and other experts on all things health, spirituality, astrology, lifestyle, relationships, and so much more. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Holistic Soul Sisters Radio. It is so crazy for me to even still say that and letting go of the Wheatgrass and Champagne podcast name. I've had to record that and delete it and re-record it probably about 10 times until I nailed saying, welcome to Holistic Soul Sisters Radio. So it's a new chapter, it's a new journey, and I'm so excited to bring you guys this first episode. I'll share with you a little bit more about what we're going to talk about, what's to come on this podcast channel, what you can expect. And today I'm going to dive into the intro episode on our first mini series called Heartbreak to Heal. Over the course of the next 8 weeks, we are going to dive all into relationships, something that we all crave as human beings, but quite honestly, we all suck at it a little bit. So this next mini series, Heartbreak to Heal, is going to help inspire you and give you guys some resources and some tools on how to improve your relationships. And we'll dive into that a little bit later. But I wanted to first start off with this first episode of Holistic Soul Sister Radio and just kind of talk about why the transition. I'm not sure if you caught my last episode of Wheatgrass and Champagne titled Goodbye Wheatgrass and Champagne. And I talked about why it was time for me to let go of that name. And it's just kind of a new chapter in my life. I realized that I have changed, I've grown, I have went through health struggles, I went through my divorce, I've went through creating boundaries and healing parts of myself from my childhood, from even my college days. And this new chapter is unfolding, and I have this strong calling to help people heal holistically and grow spiritually. You guys know my journey. I've been a holistic health coach, helping people, overcome health issues, mental health issues, physical issues, using resources and tools from the earth, plant medicine, herbs, essential oils, all those things. And then I grew through my journey and realized that there's so much more to physical healing, and that's our spiritual and emotional healing and the energetics. So I really want to help people dive into that part of themselves. And for those of you who are not really into the podcast and you're catching this episode, but you prefer YouTube, I'm actually going to be putting all of these podcast episodes on my YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed yet, you can find it by searching Holistic Soul Sisters TV. So this podcast is Holistic Soul Sisters Radio. The YouTube channel is called Holistic Soul Sisters TV. And on my YouTube channel, I've created different playlists. So there's going to be a TV channel for holistic health and healing. There's a TV channel for astrology. There's a TV channel for relationships, which will be a lot of the stuff that we talk about in this Heartbreak to Heal mini-series. I'm also creating a vlog channel. So you're going to find all of those different playlists under the Holistic Soul Sister TV YouTube channel. So just hit subscribe, search the playlist, and all of that will be there for you as well. So on this podcast channel, I wanted to do a couple mini series. I absolutely love the concept of mini series because we're going to talk about the same topic for a couple weeks in a row. So you're really going to get a lot of knowledge, a lot of information around one specific topic. So like I mentioned, this is the first episode of Heartbreak to Heal, and we're going to dive into terminology, things that you need to know before you listen to the next 8 episodes. But I'm going to give you guys a little preview of some other mini-series that we're going to do coming up. I'm going to do a mini-series on plant medicine. So we're going to talk about CBD and medical marijuana, ayahuasca, mushrooms, all the different plant medicines. So that mini-series will be coming up by the end of this year. We're going to do a mini-series on energy healing, talking all about quantum physics and Reiki and meditation and manifestation and how everything that we see in the physical world is actually energy first. So there'll be a mini-series on energy healing. And then I'm also going to do IMO episodes. So when you see an IMO episodes, IMO stands for in my opinion. In those IMO episodes, it's going to be me purging and downloading my opinion on a specific topic for you guys, raw, unfiltered, with no holding back. So I'm really excited for some of those episodes to come out. And then, of course, on this podcast, I love to interview professionals in all different areas. So we're going to have financial experts. I'm going to have relationship experts. We're going to have holistic doctors and energy healers. We're going to have experts around the topics of sex and travel and lifestyle. So I'm really excited for this podcast and where it's going and the interviews and episodes coming up. So I hope you hit subscribe. Please share it with your friends. You guys know it is so hard to grow on social media with the algorithms, and you're always fighting an uphill battle to get more followers and subscribers. So I really rely on the word of mouth, on my friends and family, and all of you who follow me on my journey. So please share this podcast with at least one person or two people, whether it's through the YouTube channel or through whatever podcast platform you're listening on right now. So I want to thank you so much in advance for that. Feel free to leave a review. That also helps me reach more people, and connect with me on social media. You guys know I love meeting new people, connecting with you. So my Instagram handle is mandyrose.1111. Look forward to chatting with you guys more in the future. And for now, let's dive into this intro episode of Heartbreak to Heal. So, to begin, I wanted to share with you guys my why I created the first mini series all about relationships. And I think you guys can probably relate to this. Relationships are one of the most important things to us as human beings. We all want to be in a relationship, we all want to share our life with someone, but quite honestly, we all suck at relationships, We kind of put our needs on other people, we create too many expectations, we try to change people. We bring our own traumas and wounds into every single relationship, from past relationships, from our childhood, right? And so it's funny how something we want that's so sacred to us, we actually suck at. And I want to teach you guys and help you guys work on yourselves, right? Heartbreak to heal. We've all gone through heartbreak. Even in relationships that we've been in for like years, we still find heartbreak in them, but we stay, right? And we have this opportunity to heal ourselves, to heal the relationship. In every relationship, we are 50% responsible for the relationship. We are 50% responsible for the problems, for the success, for, every fight and argument. We are a part of that relationship. And so let's heal ourselves. Over the course of the next 8 weeks, you're going to hear interviews with people who have been through this trauma in relationships, just like so many of us. We date the same person over and over again, just in a different body. We show up to every relationship with us, our traumas, our triggers. We put them on that next person. We tend to date the same type of people with the same red flags, with the same toxic behaviors, and we just move on from relationship to relationship. And this is an opportunity over the next 8 weeks to hear these stories. Get inspired from people who said, you know what, enough's enough. I need to take a pause from relationships and heal myself. I need to dive into my inner child, my own traumas. What is my relationship attachment style? What is my love language? What are my basic needs? What am I actually looking for? Assessing and diving in so that they can show up as the best version of themselves for their partner, for their next relationship, to have a better experience with their partners. And so I hope that you listen to the next 8 weeks through these interviews. We also have some therapists coming on, a self-care coach. I'm going to be sharing a little bit more of my story and my divorce and how I went through that while I was at the sickest I've ever been in my life. I'm going to be bringing on my boyfriend right now and sharing a little bit about our personal journey and how I had to overcome a lot of my trauma and fears from my previous relationships to open up my heart to him. You're going to hear a lot of techniques and tools that you can add to your toolbox to work on yourself. And this mini series isn't just for people who are single or who are in toxic relationships. This is for everyone. So if you are someone in a toxic relationship and you think it's time to leave and you're scared and you're not sure if it's time, this mini series is going to help inspire you that you can take that next step and take your cup, and instead of pouring it into the other person, start pouring it into yourself. Start pouring it into your own healing. And if you're single and maybe you've been single for a while, this is the perfect opportunity for you to start working on yourself. Instead of always trying to go on the next date and find the next person and being sad that you're alone, this is a time for you to dive into Project You. And also, for those of you who are in a relationship, we all know every relationship could be better. Many of us know that our relationships aren't perfect. They struggle, we fight, we have arguments, but we want to stay. We find the love in the other person. Maybe you have children. Maybe you've had a really long marriage and there's been ups and downs. This Heartbreak to Heal mini series is also for you. This is going to inspire you to take the mirror, face it towards yourself, Heal yourself. And when you show up healed, you may inspire your partner to heal themselves, or you might just honestly give them a better version of you, which, if you love the person, that's what they deserve, right? So that's kind of my why for why I wanted to focus on relationships. So before we dive into all the interviews coming up, I wanted to take this intro episode to go through some basic terminology you're going to hear the interviewees talk about. And I didn't want to pause the interviews to give you guys a more detailed explanation of the terminology that we use. So that's what this intro episode is going to be all about. So, some of the terminology that was used in the episodes are attachment styles, feminine masculine energy, twin flames, soulmates, karmic relationships, using your birth chart and your astrology to understand your partner, love languages, enmeshment, codependency, inner child, and a few more. So, I wanted to take a moment right now to dive into every single one of those concepts and give you a basic overview. Of course, there is so much more, and I might do small little episodes on each topic to give you guys more details. But for the purpose of this intro episode, we're just going to gloss over them so you have a concept as you listen to the interviews coming up. So let's start with attachment style. We all have an attachment style, and this comes from our childhood and our upbringing, how we attach to our parents. So, what kind of parents did you have? Were they ones that just let you go run around on the playground and have a good time? Or did you have parents that were like, come here, don't leave me, don't go too far away, I got to make sure that I see you? And this carries over into your romantic relationships. We attach to our caregivers and to our spouses and our partners in a specific way. Now, if you and your partner have the same attachment style, you might really understand each other. But if you have different attachment styles, this is where we can bump heads. The ultimate goal is to become a secure attachment style. A secure attachment style looks like this. Your partner and you leave for work all day. You send each other a couple text messages. Maybe you call once to check in. And then you come home and you're right back in the swing of things and you feel really secure. When your partner leaves for the day, you know that they love you. You know that they'll be back home. You know that when you get home, you guys will connect and everything will be fine. And that's how your life goes. But that is typically not the case for the most of us. So, the first attachment style we're going to talk about is called an anxious avoidant. Anxious avoidant attachment styles are people that have a lot of anxiety when their partner is out of sight. So, let's say your partner's at work all day. You get really anxious if they don't pick up the phone right away. What are they doing? Who could they be with? Are they talking to their secretary? Are they lying to me? You're questioning everything and you get really, really anxious. So, you start calling again, a second time, a third time, a fourth time, and you bother them and bug them. This is an anxious avoidant. You feel like so much anxiety when you don't have control over your partner. This can also push our partners away into the other attachment style, which is the exact opposite, which is called a detached attachment style. Now, these are the type of people when you were a child, you didn't feel safe giving or receiving love. So maybe as a child, you wanted a lot of love from your parents and they kind of just dismissed you a lot. So as an adult, you don't attach to people in the same way. You are a little detached. You like your alone time, you like your space, you don't understand why your partner wants to spend all this time with you. It's just not for you. You don't let anyone in. These are the type of people, a detached attachment style, typically don't want to let people into their bubble. You have a hard time getting into their bubble because love doesn't feel safe to them. And then you have the third type of attachment style called a fearful avoidant. Fearful avoidants bop back and forth between anxious and detached. So they can become very anxious and they want to spend all their time with their partner and they love them so much and they kind of suffocate them and they just love bomb and do everything with their partner. But then the minute they feel hurt or scared or rejected or something doesn't go the way that they want, they immediately become detached. They immediately avoid their partner and hide and don't want to go near them and spend alone time. And these fearful avoidant attachment styles can be very confusing to a partner because one minute they love you and the next minute they don't want to talk to you. And one minute they're calling you 15 times, but then you call them back and they're upset and they don't answer the phone. So we have this anxious attachment, a detached, a fearful avoidant, and then our ultimate goal is to become secure. And of course, I could dive so much deeper into that topic, but you're going to hear interviewees talk about it. So I wanted to make sure that I gave you a basic overview. Next, we're going to talk about masculine and feminine energies. Now, this is a topic that's going viral all over Instagram, and it can be a little confusing the first time you hear about it. When you hear masculine and feminine energies, you typically start associating with genders. Feminine energy must mean that they're a female, masculine energy must mean they're a male, and that's not always the case. Actually, all of us have feminine and masculine energies within us. Our feminine energy is more of our creativity, go with the flow, wanting to give to others, be of service, that mother nurturing energy. And then our masculine energy is the part of us that helps us get shit done. It's the part of us that is strong and makes decisions and is stable and structured. And so we all want to have this really beautiful balance between the two. However, we can have healthy masculine and feminine energy, or we can have wounded masculine and feminine energies. And a wounded feminine energy is someone that is needy and clingy and can't be alone. And a wounded masculine is someone who's aggressive and demanding and dominating. And so we have to work on not only balancing our feminine and masculine energies, making sure we're not too giving and too go with the flow, but also not too demanding and not too aggressive. We have to find a balance right there in the middle within ourselves, right? And we also have to make sure it's the healed version of the energy and not the desperate, clingy, needy, aggressive, triggering form of the masculine and feminine energy. So that's what we have to do within ourselves. But then we also have to have a harmonious balance with our partner. So I'll give you a little example with me and my boyfriend. I typically run a little bit more on the masculine energy side of things, even though I love tapping into my feminine energy. And that's something I've really been working on, is bringing me back to balance. I easily go into masculine tendencies. I want to do, I want to go, I want to make decisions. I want to find stability and structure and be like the top dog. That's just my personality. So I've learned to slow down and go with the flow and be more of service and tap into that heart centered feminine energy. So I've been working on that within myself, but I will always typically lean a little bit more on the masculine side. Now, this can be hard for a partner if I'm dating someone who is typically a masculine energy, right? Many men over their lifetime have been forced and pushed into a masculine energy. And so when I date someone who has a lot of masculine energy, we bump heads, especially if we both have unhealthy masculine energy, right? We're trying to climb over each other, we're trying to have the final say, we're both trying to make decisions, we're both trying to show that we're top dog, and that just doesn't work. So I have found a partner who not only is very masculine in his energy, but typically leans a little bit more in the feminine energy. He is very go with the flow, very heart-centered, wants to help, wants to be close, wants to be connected. So he teaches me how to step more into my feminine, but we also balance each other out. So we're not bumping heads. He lets me make decisions. He lets me kind of run wild with my ideas and making things happen the way that I want them to happen. And he's good with that. So it's very important for us each to understand within ourselves, are we more feminine? Are we more masculine? Is it the healed version? Is it the unhealed version? And what do I need to find in a partner so that we balance each other out on the larger scale? We also talk about twin flames, soulmates, and karmic relationships in the interviews. And this is a hard concept to kind of break down in a very short way. So I'm just going to say that twin flames are a concept of spirituality where it's two people with one soul. So essentially, there is one soul, and it's decided to split into two humans, one with typically a more masculine energy, one with typically more of a feminine energy, and they've come to Earth for a grand mission. It's to help Earth, it's to heal Earth, it's to help people evolve and awaken and change. So twin flames typically have a same purpose and mission. And when they find each other in this lifetime, it can be beautiful. You feel like you've come home. You look into someone's eyes and say, wow, you are just like me. That person is exactly like you because they are you. And it sounds so glamorous. It sounds so beautiful. It sounds so like magical, what everybody would want in a relationship. But twin flames reflect back to you your biggest traumas, your biggest triggers. So they are you, right? So they're a mirror of you. If they are bringing up something in you that's really painful, so for instance, maybe there's someone that's a detached style and they don't call you back and they want alone time, they might bring up that anxious attachment in you. You just need to be with them all the time and you miss them so much and you got to call them 100 times a day and you got to make sure they still love you. That is bringing up a wound within you to get healed. So, a twin flame relationship, you are constantly triggering each other. You're constantly challenging each other to grow and awaken and become a better person. So, the relationship isn't really smooth until you become a fully healed person. So, if you feel like you're in a twin flame relationship, this mini series is definitely for you. You need to heal yourself so you can heal the other person and so you can heal your relationship. Now, on the flip side, we have soulmates. Soulmates are beautiful. Like, this is the type of relationship where you see two people that just seem to mesh well. They get each other, they understand each other, they appreciate each other, they've been through many lifetimes before together. So they have this familiarity and this comfort. They can finish each other's sentences, and they just have a mutual respect and love for one another. So, soulmates are a beautiful thing. And depending on what you believe in spiritually, some people say you only have one soulmate. I believe you have many soulmates, many lifetimes that we've gone on with many different people. And so, if you're someone who's gotten out of a relationship and you felt like you've been with your soulmate, there are others out there for you. If you were married to someone that you felt like it was your soulmate, there are other people out there for you. And then lastly, we have karmic relationships. Now, like I said, twin flame relationships can be a little tumultuous and bringing up trauma and triggers. And then karmic relationships, on the other hand, are toxic. They bring out the worst in you. They're not helping you heal. They're not helping you grow. They are just honestly triggering you in a very toxic way. And these are the kind of relationships where you start to feel depressed. You start to lose who you are. You don't feel like you're getting better. You're just getting worse. And karmic relationships come into our lives to teach us boundaries, to teach us where we need to grow within ourselves instead of giving up ourselves to another person. So, twin flames, soulmates, karmic partners. This is something that we do talk about in the episodes. Next up, birth charts and astrology and how this can help improve your relationship. So, every time I do a birth chart reading for someone, I focus on relational astrology. And what that means is I help you look at your birth chart to understand your own stars, your own planets better so that you can know who you are and show up better in relationships. Also, looking at your partner or even your children or your family members' birth charts can help you better understand them as a person and allows us to give a little bit more grace and forgiveness. And I'll give you an example. I am a Libra Venus. Venus is the planet of love, of beauty, of relationships, of harmony, and it falls in the zodiac sign for me in Libra. Libra is the scales. It wants justice, it wants peace, it wants harmony. So in my relationships, I value harmony, peace, and fairness. If something's not fair to me, I can't be in love with it. And on the other hand, my partner, his Venus is in Scorpio. Scorpio's deep intensity, transformation. They always want to dive into the deepest, darkest parts of you. And that's how he feels love. He feels love when we can talk about things and be open and just all about each other. And this is something we didn't realize when we first started dating. But as we dove into our birth charts, we understood each other way better and also allowed for a lot more grace, forgiveness, and patience. Another example is my moon is in Cancer, and our moon is our emotions. It's how we express our emotions, it's what we feel emotional about. And I'm a Cancer moon. So I have a lot of emotions. I like family, I like nostalgia. I can be very sensitive and sentimental and want to hold on to things and make scrapbooks. And that's how I express my emotions. He, on the other hand, is a Gemini moon. So the way that he expresses his emotions with Gemini, it's very analytical. He's always thinking. Instead of feeling his emotions, he's thinking about his emotions and what he should be thinking he should feel. And until we could understand that within each other, we had a lot of arguments. So I help people look at their birth charts and understand themselves so they can relate it to their partner, explain it to their parents, explain it to their friends, and then also understand each other. So I think birth charts and understanding that with your partner and your relationships is super important. Another thing that's really important for us to understand is our love languages. This is something we talked about in all the interviews. I asked everyone, what is your love language? And it's important for us to understand this. So, whether it's words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, or physical touch, you need to know this about yourself so that you can explain that need to your partner and say, hey, I noticed that you like to bring me little gifts when you come home from work, but I really need you to give me words of affirmation. And this is what it looks like. So saying, babe, you did a great job today, or writing me a letter and saying everything that you enjoyed about me in the recent week. These are really important things to know within ourselves. How can we expect someone to meet our needs when we don't even know what they are ourselves? So if you don't know your love languages, you can go to 5lovelanguages.com and there's a quiz there. 5lovelanguages.com. Take the quiz, figure out what your love language is, and I encourage you to ask the people around you, whether it's your partner, your family, your friends, even the people you work with. It's important to know this because if you really love someone, you want to meet them where they're at. You want to give them love in the way that they're actually going to receive it. And this is the confusion with love languages. So, for instance, my love language is words of affirmation. So, therefore, I give a lot of words of affirmation because that's what I would want. So, I'm going to do what I think is loving. So, I give my partner words of affirmation. I love you. You look so great today. You're amazing. You're such a genius. But then he doesn't give me any words of affirmation back because that's not his love language. His love language is physical touch. He loves to cuddle. He loves to spend a lot of time together. He wants to always be sitting next to each other on the couch and holding hands. And he's thinking that that physical touch is making me feel loved. When I'm over here on the couch going, well, why isn't he telling me he loves me? Why isn't he telling me how beautiful I look? Right? So we are both showing each other love in our own love language, but the other person is not receiving it because it's not their love language. So we've learned when he can, send me a text message and give me words of affirmation, or I come home and I run up to him and give him a hug, it doesn't feel natural for either one of us to do those things, but we remember that's what's important to them. And over time, it does become more natural. I've learned to become more of a physical touch person and actually enjoy it. And he actually finds joy now in giving words of affirmation and seeing me smile. So definitely look into your love languages. Next, I just want to bring up some topics that you could kind of look at on your own, and they do come up in our interviews, and that's enmeshment, codependency, and boundaries. These are really deep topics that we could dive in complete episodes on individually. So, enmeshment pretty much means that when you get into a relationship, you become the relationship and the relationship becomes you. You do everything for your partner. You don't have your own needs. You don't have your own alone time. You literally become enmeshed, immersed. And it's like the most important thing in your life. And every decision and everything you do is always based on the other person and the relationship. And this is not a healthy way to live our lives because at some point you have to realize you are on your own soul's journey. And this enmeshment is going to prevent your growth. And many people who become enmeshed, it just happens naturally, right? You fall in love, you spend all this time together, you want to ask them everything, you don't want to make a decision without hurting their feelings, so you double check everything with them. But over time, this can become a dependency. Codependency, another topic. Codependency, where you are so afraid of hurting the other person and them leaving you that you start to morph and shift yourself into people pleasing them. So if you know that your partner doesn't like when you go out with your girlfriends, you stop going out with your girlfriends. You know that your partner doesn't like that you check your phone in the morning. So you never touch your phone, right? And then as soon as they leave, you check your phone. So this codependency and enmeshment has a lot of roots in our childhood, in the traumas that we've created through other relationships in our lives. So these are really important. And once we realize that maybe we are enmeshed and maybe we are codependent, that we have to create stronger boundaries. And this is something a lot of the interviewees and the therapists bring up is having boundaries. It's not easy, you guys. Boundaries is something that we all work on over the course of our entire life. This is something I have learned to kind of step into, and that's creating a separation between me, you, and the us, right? So you have your own journey. I have my own journey, and this relationship has its own journey. And understanding the difference and saying, you know what, this is my need. If you don't meet this need, then I am creating a boundary saying, then I can't be in this relationship, right? Boundary. And of course, people are going to step over your boundaries. Of course, sometimes you're going to let go of your boundaries out of love, but always knowing where it is and reminding the other person is really, really important. I really encourage you to kind of look into this topic of boundaries, always kind of work on it. And then lastly, we're going to talk about inner child. And this is also a very, very loaded topic. Inner child wounds are so deep for every single one of us. And I could talk all about the psychological history of inner child wounds. I have a bachelor in psychology, so this is something I've been fascinated with. Now, I'm going to share something with you guys that you may not even know. And if you have children, this is super important to understand. From birth until the age of 7, we are in a brainwave state called theta. Now, every day when you wake up and you are doing all the things and running errands and, go, 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 we are in an alpha or beta brainwave state. These are doing, creating, being active brainwave states. But when we are meditating or we're slowing down or falling asleep, we're in a theta brainwave state. Theta just is this very meditative calm where you're not thinking, you're just receiving. You're listening to messages, you're allowing the brain to calm. That is the brainwave state of children under the age of 7. They are simply in theta, a meditative state. So everything that is exampled in front of them, everything that is said to them, everything that they experience in life up until the age of 7 is just imprinted, downloaded, and then it's stored for them to use as the blueprint for the rest of their lives. Now, you can see where I'm going with this. In relationships, the way that we act from a subconscious place, the way that we are triggered, the things that we get upset about are all from this blueprint that was given to us under the age of 7. And then we spend the rest of our lives taking that blueprint and going, whoa, that's not really how I should feel, or that's not really what I want to feel. So, learning about our inner child, healing that inner child is so important. This is work that you need to do in a relationship by yourself. Figuring out your inner child wounds. Why do I get so upset when my partner speaks to me this way? Why do I react so strongly when my partner comes home late from work? Why am I being triggered by things that don't trigger other people? And typically it goes back to our inner child. We need to give our inner child so much love and grace. If we could go and write ourselves a letter to your 7-year-old self and say, I love you, I'm here for you, I'm going to protect you, and then say, I'm going to heal you. And this is work that is deep. I'm a big advocate for therapy and working on your inner child through a therapist. It's absolutely beautiful. It can really transform your own subconscious belief. And also, looking at your partner sometimes as their inner child will give you so much love for them. We are all just inner children lashing out, reacting, trying to get our needs met, and fighting for safety, comfort, security, and love. That's all we're doing from a subconscious place. So I remember one day I was in this, aggravated state with my partner, and I was just like, why do you always have to do this to me? Like, I don't understand. In my head, I'm just, ruminating on these things that I'm just so unhappy about. And then I look over on the couch at him and I just see him sitting there, and I just pictured his inner child. This wounded child that has been through his own amount of stress from his parents, from his social life. He has his own baggage that he's been carrying. And when I could look at him and see his inner child, the wounded part of him that's just begging for love, my heart immediately melted. And I said, you know what? This is what I need to do. Not look at him as a child like, oh, you're so immature, but you have your own wounds, and I should love the wounds, and I should help you, guide you to heal those wounds and be a safe place for you to come to figure them out. So inner child work is so important. Again, you will hear people in this 8-week mini series talk about their inner child, talk about the tools and resources that they use to heal their inner child. And I really hope that that inspires you guys to move forward in your relationships as well. So that's going to wrap up the terminology that I wanted to make sure we dove into a little bit, gave you a basic overview on before you listen to the next episodes in this mini series. I really hope that it inspires you, educates you, gives you some resources to improve the relationships in your life. Like I said, I know that relationships are one of the most important things to almost every single person on planet Earth, and it's an area we could all improve upon. So, you're going to hear my story. You're going to hear some great examples of people that turned their heartbreak inwards towards themselves, healed themselves, got in a better place before they jumped in their next relationship. You're going to hear some interviews from therapists, self care coaches, people that mentor others in the aspect of relationships and sex. And I hope that in 8 weeks, you feel like you have more education and knowledge to become a better version of yourself. So, that is my mission for this. I hope you enjoy it. Please leave some feedback on the Holistic Soul Sisters Instagram page. Tell me what you love about the episodes. Tell me how you can relate to each person in the interview. When I was doing these interviews, I was so honored and touched that these people opened up themselves, were super raw, super vulnerable. I mean, I remember after every heartbreak I'd gone through, laying on the couch going, how the hell am I going to pick up these pieces? How the hell am I going to ever love someone again? How am I ever going to trust somebody again? And hearing stories of other people who've been through the same thing just really makes me feel like, you know what? We're all human and we're all going to make it through. And, day after day, we heal ourselves and we heal our wounds and we wait for that next person that we can pour our love into. So follow holistic.soul.sisters on Instagram. I've linked below here in the show notes. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's in the description box of some resources on all this terminology, the Instagram page, the YouTube channels, podcast channels, all the resources you could possibly want, you'll find in the show notes. And I hope you connect with me over on Instagram after listening to every episode. And I can't wait to watch all of you guys grow and learn in this mini series. So that's it for now. I'll catch you in the first interview episode of Heartbreak to Heal. And until then, I hope you keep healing holistically and growing spiritually.